Oh.
Do that again, because I fucked that completely
Yep.
up. Sorry. Jill, that was an absolutely inspiring presentation. How do you feel after?
This is a wonderful crowd, wonderful room to be in with so many active and enthused divers. So it's a real pleasure to be here.
So it's your first time at the BSAC diving conference, isn't it? How do you think the whole event with all these divers here that are just hanging on every word?
The event has been fantastic. I've spoken to BSAC clubs before and all sorts of different spaces, from pubs to clubhouses, and I've always loved the camaraderie and mentoring within the system, and so it's wonderful to be here at the annual conference.
Awesome. So how did you get into your sort of cave diving and stuff like that? How did your career begin?
I started my career in Canada as a wreck diver in the Great Lakes. We have incredible wooden shipwrecks, a lot of them 200 plus years old, lying intact on the bottom. There's over 6,000 shipwrecks in the Great Lakes in Canada, and that's how I got started. But as a child, I always liked caves and small spaces, and this, I guess, was a yeah, and this was a natural extension of that curiosity that I had as a kid.
So you said in your presentation that you wanted to be an astronaut when you were a kid. How do you think cave diving compares to that?
I wanted to be an astronaut as a kid, and of course there was no Canadian space program or female astronauts as I was growing up. And there are many similarities. I mean, we wear advanced life support equipment, exposure protection, and go to places where people have never been before. But in some ways, cave diving has additional challenges because we don't have mission control to call for help and have to be completely independent in terms of survival. And really, we know more about outer space than we do about the inside of our planet. So it's a fantastic opportunity to be able to go places that nobody's ever seen or documented before.
Absolutely. And so in your presentation, you were talking about the Sunfish autonomous machine that goes around. Do you think you'll be out of a job soon with that?
The 3D autonomous mapping robot is an incredible extension of new technology, and yeah, in a way, you know, it's a robot cave diver that doesn't need me anymore, but there'll always be a purpose for my hands and eyes, and there's always going to be a purpose for exploration by humans. I mean, you know, we send devices into space all the time, but there's still a value in putting a man on the moon. There's still a value in sending a man to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And the age of exploration is not over. It's really still going strong.
So going back to the space thing, you're one of the few people in the world that's dived within an iceberg. You know, compared with 250 people who've actually done a spacewalk, what do you think you saw that no one else has seen?
Diving inside a cave system, inside an iceberg in Antarctica, was an incredible experience. There were no guidebooks to help us prepare for the kind of things that we would see. The environment was stunningly beautiful, incredibly dangerous, but the ecosystem that we discovered within this iceberg was fascinating and absolutely of value to science and exploration. But it's a very tenuous thing. It's like diving in a temporary cave. And after our last cave dive in one particular system, the entire system crumbled. It literally calved and blew up and turned into a sea filled with brash ice.
That must have been quite scary.
It was terrifying. It was at that point that we decided it was time to go home.
I don't blame you. So, talking of your ice diving expeditions, you were the safety officer on one of your expeditions, and you know you've written guidelines and stuff for this sort of thing. What do you think is your one single golden rule of cave diving or diving in general?
Well, I think it's important for explorers to know that you have to be willing to say no. So you have to take, you know, years of planning, years of research, all your money and put it into doing something, and don't be afraid to dream. But when it comes down to the moment and you're reaching out and you're just about to get to that treasure of gold or whatever your goal may be, you have to be willing to go, whew, not today, and turn around and abort. And I think that's the rule of survivors.
So you, like we've said, you've done so many amazing expeditions. What's the next one that you want to go do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, I always have a bucket list of places that I still want to go. I'd still love to go to the Galapagos. but fortunately, it's an inexhaustible list.
Absolutely. So, what sort of advice would you maybe give to young people looking to get into this industry, trying to do the sort of things that you've done?
We are living in such a time of opportunity. As I grew as a diver, there seemed to be a lot of gatekeepers that made it difficult to get a movie made or a television show commissioned or to participate in an expedition, or barriers for me as a woman. But now with global interconnectivity, anybody can be a filmmaker, and you can produce it yourself, you can sell it yourself, you don't need anybody's permission anymore. So any young person that's interested in this kind of a life just needs to volunteer, get mentoring, and be bold enough to go out and do your own thing.
Absolutely, it sounds great. Have you done much diving in the UK?
I've done a little bit of diving in the UK. I dove in Wookey Hole last year, and it was an incredible experience because it was the 80th anniversary of the first cave dive at that location. And what a privilege to be able to swim through that cave and afterwards help a demolitions team blow open a new section into the cave.
One more thing, if you were given the choice of a one-way trip to go dive something amazing like going to Europa, like you were talking about, sending things out there, would you take that opportunity?
A one-way trip.
A one-way trip.
Before I was married, I would have said yes, absolutely. Put me on the next Mars lander. I'll be on my way. But I have the most incredible partner in the world who is so supportive to me, and it's hard. It's hard for anybody whose partner is a diver when you're the person waiting at home for that phone call at the end of the day. And every dive I go on, I think about risk, and I think about him, and I make choices that are good for both of us. And a one-way trip to Mars probably wouldn't cut it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for today. It's been absolutely excellent.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good.